ready? 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to another episode of Let's Go Hunt, where friends meet friends to kill shit, even in other states. Tonight, our cast is Dave Packard, who is more hipster than I care to admit now. Well, he wrote more than I care to admit. I admit he's very hipster. Sam Alexander, back from Dick Cheney's protection detail. Vince H., straight off the boat from Kansanadia, and pulling up to diesel pumps like I'm a baller. I'm Mike Gonsalves.
You know,
fellas?
I heard your diesel start last night, and I thought it was going to die. That's all I have to say on that.
Does it sound like a lawnmower?
No, my lawnmower sounds like it's, got a little more life in it.
Did it sound like a Vietnamese boat with the wrong jet in the carburetor?
Just about. Just like... That's why I had him leave first. It's like, if that thing breaks down, at least I'll be able to wave as I drive by.
When was these?
These
last night.
No.
No.
Oh.
It's exactly what you think it was.
Yeah, we met up in the mountains for some... Well, we'll get there. We'll get to that.
They met in the mountains. The reason may surprise you.
We're filming a documentary about sheep.
Turns out this film's going to be bad.
Oh, that joke.
I could stop. Okay.
So have you ever stuck your rifle in what has previously always been a very safe carrying method / case, and then opened it up later and found that your scope had somehow moved an entire 1/8 of an inch inside the rings?
No, that sounds like a neat, fun trick that you've discovered.
Yeah. That was me yesterday.
You pulled a mic?
No, he didn't pull a mic.
The difference is I freaking paint my guns, though, so I can tell when suddenly there's an 1/8 inch of black aluminum hanging out from my scope ring. That's something inside that it's a Pelican case that you got to break the rifle in half and put it in there. And then I usually set other stuff around it, and somehow something bashed the crap out of it because it went.
See, spray paint's not just sexy. It's
I
functional.
mean, that's why you just throw stuff in the floorboard of the pickup.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't lie to you and
so I,
pretend
of
that.
course, lock up all of my firearms in transit in accordance with all local regulations.
Right. You lock the doors when you get in, and that means it's locked up.
Yeah. But no, that got bashed. So anyway, what did you guys do?
Oh, nothing.
I
Then
mean,
Nothing.
Did you go somewhere where you could see some naked homosexual men?
I hope he
Absolutely
did.
not. Well, I was in Kansas, but
It's Kansas.
All right. Tell us about Kansas and the naked homos you saw there.
Wait, when you get back to Oklahoma, did you say I'm not in Kansas anymore?
I totally forgot. It wasn't a tornado.
Ruined.
There wasn't a tornado. So
You just wasted your whole trip.
actually, I would have had to do that at like 6 a.m, and then it would have become 5 a.m. again, and I was just really confused. So I didn't say anything at all.
I think if Vince could see homos naked in Kansas, he could see them from a really long way away. Because
This
there's
is true,
Nothing.
and that's
here.
another that's another story altogether. But Dave,
Mhm.
why don't you take it away? We'll go ahead and talk about this first. I guess it's been all the rage lately.
It's been 1 week since you looked at me.
blooming. So we Vince actually drove up to here in, well, not here, but Western Kansas, which is pretty much where I'm at, and we went coyote hunting with a couple buddies, Brandon and Ty, and it was a kick in the ass. We got up. I got over to Johnson about 6. Had to run some suppressor parts to a guy, and then with Brandon, I was not running suppressor parts. I do not have an SOT.
You were
Don't
along for the
knock
ride.
on my door. Yes.
He was a mule.
Vince ended up getting off early so he could leave way earlier than he had originally thought he was going to, which was great because he actually beat us to the meeting point. And
By like 20 minutes, maybe.
yeah, I think when I messaged you, I thought you were gonna have to turn around. But anyway, we met up and met at a spot where we could leave our vehicles and started getting shit set up. And it was an all thermal coyote hunt. There was no night vision. There was no spotlighting. It was nothing but thermals.
There was one instance of white light, and we'll get to that here after
Indeed.
a while.
Indeed. There was two. But so we get set up, and I am borrowing one of Brandon's rifles, and it is a Howa mini action in 6mm arc with a Diligent Defense Wolf Hunter 6mm cam, and motherfucker, that thing is quiet. It is fantastic. And the thermal that I was running was an iRay Hybrid 75, and I believe the 75 means a 75mm objective lens.
I
'Cause it
think
was
that is correct. Yes.
Yeah,
fucking
that's about right.
honk on the end of that scope.
And that matters because with all the same sensors and everything, you get that objective. The wider it gets, the better your resolution gets. It adds in there too.
Yeah.
Because it was a 640 core unit with like 12 a 12 micron pixel pitch, and
Mhm.
that's what my iRay RH25 is, but because it's just got a 25-inch objective, like the
25 inches. Whoa.
shut up, 25 millimeter. I'm not in the
Man,
mood
you
for
must
this.
be able
Okay.
to view.
I am tired. I am tired, sir. What Dave missed is we got there at like 8:00 and we headed out to the first set at about 8:30, and we did not stop. We did not leave after that until 5 in the morning.
Mhm.
We spent straight 9.5 hours out there going from stand to stand to stand, calling in coyotes.
It was fantastic. I was kind of feeling for you. I was like, motherfucker, this dude's had a long drive. And I don't know if he was expecting to be hunting this long.
I
but-
kind of wasn't.
Or how the wind doesn't stop because there's no trees to stop it. So got a little
I
breezy.
mean, I've been to Kansas.
Oh, yeah. But, Brandon, he was running a what was it? A 12.5-inch 6 arc with a my shit just flipped out. Hang on. It's coming. It's some kind of can. And
An Energetic
thing.
Arms Vox
yes,
S can.
that.
And an iRay RH20
Oh,
or
no.
an iRay RH50R Mark II. Is that right? Okay. And a Warrior tripod, whatever that is. I didn't actually get to see some of this stuff in the daylight.
What did it look like? I don't know.
This is dark. See, one of the problems I was having is like I had no idea who was on my right or who was on my left the whole night. Like I don't know if that's Brandon. I don't know if that's Ty. I kind of know what Dave sounds like. And Dave stepped out for a second. So he's going over what everybody had. Ty had a 20-inch ballistic advantage upper in 22 arc, running 75 grains with a Gadsden lower, an iRay Hybrid 50 thermal, and an Otter Creek Labs suppressor, probably the polonium. And there was several just Amazon special tripods with ball head mounts, and I was using one of those as well. I had actually bought a Bog Death Grip Bantam that they just had at Walmart, but it was a shorter tripod. It was like a sitting and kneeling tripod, that only went up to about 42 inches. And the guys were like, oh, no, you're going to want to use one of these. So they checked out my rig, like, okay, you need a little bit of Picatinny right here. And so Brandon bolted on a stretch of Picatinny on my rifle. And I realized this later, but Dave made a joke about it. But Brandon, I'm sorry, I still have your Picatinny rail. Because at 5 in the morning,
yeah.
I forgot. I just took the thing off and put the tripod back where it was, and then threw my rifle in the van and started thinking about going to sleep. So, yeah, my bad.
Oops.
Anyway, and I guess the last bit is mine. I had a 5.56 16-inch with a Banish 223 suppressor, and a Gideon Guardian 1-10 second focal plane with an iRay RH25 thermal clip-on, which those two, if you can see them back here behind me, right up here, you can actually, I think I've posted some pictures of it. The 1.6-inch mount that Gideon uses is actually, it lines up perfectly with the QD mount that ADM sells for the RH25. So it clips on right in front of it, and you actually look through your normal optic to look at the thermal screen and then see stuff. But I think that's enough on equipment. We got out there. We started looking around at 8:30. We started moving around. We got to the first set, and we get out there, and I start, kind of figuring out my thermal, because I had never actually used it out there shooting. And I started to realize real quick that what these guys were using was way better than what I was using. Because we're out there looking around like, okay, we got a thermal signature this direction. I'm like, and I go look at that direction. I'm like, freaking where, man? I don't see nothing. And then I'd see like a tiny little dot just out there, like, and someone would be like, oh, wait, that's a jackrabbit. I'm like, how can you tell that that is a jackrabbit? Like, how far away is it? Like, 1,100 yards. Like, what?
Damn.
Yep.
You could saw a jackrabbit at 1,100 yards?
Maybe not that far, but with the stuff they were using, they could identify way further than I could identify. I got to where I could start seeing just the thermal signature. I could get, detection of a thermal signature kind of out there in the, 700 to 800 yard range, maybe 900 on something the size of a coyote. And and here's the other thing. The jackrabbits out there are huge. And you can mistake them for coyotes at
dogs
at points. And like, if I saw something running around on a hillside 900 yards away, I'm like, is that a coyote? And they're like, maybe. And then after a little bit, they'd be like, no, it's not moving right. And that's the other thing. They're like, hey, if you think it's a coyote's just going to move. A jackrabbit's going to move and then stop, and then move and then stop. Coyotes aren't going to stop. They're just going to move and move and move and move. And you could use how they move to kind of gauge what they were. The other funny thing was about halfway through the night, this is kind of a little off topic, but, we're out there calling, and they're running a wounded rabbit call. And I watched a jackrabbit run 700 yards straight into us with a wounded rabbit call. Like, he was really concerned about that rabbit and just ran right
Steve,
into it.
Steve, are you okay? Steve,
are you okay?
bang.
No, we get to the first set, and they shot a coyote on the first set that I never saw, because maybe it was like on just a little bit over a rise that I was in just the wrong spot to see. But it was like, I heard 3, 2, 1, boom. Or not even a boom. It was like a pop, because it was two guys shooting suppressed. And then I hear off in the distance, you hear, and
Ozzy
like,
Osbourne?
what?
The sound you made sounds like the intro to Crazy Train. Yeah.
No, that okay.
Going
okay.
off the
It's like
rails on a crazy train.
Vince shot Ozzy Osbourne.
Turns out that they got that sound effect by him biting the head off of a coyote.
Gross. Continue.
No, they hit one on that first stand, and I was like, okay, that's cool. We're on the board, number 1, yay. And then a little bit later into that, like a smaller one comes running up, and like, Vince, you take this one, and so I line up the shot, I press the trigger. And another interesting thing, you can see your misses actually pretty well, especially because it was a little bit chilly, and so the surface ground was actually still warmer than the ground underneath, and you could see it kick up, dark dust. Like the dirt underneath was colder, so it would appear on the thermal as darker in mine, so you could actually see your misses. And that first one, I just missed. Like I pressed the trigger, I pressed the trigger, sights were good, bullet does not hit where I want it to go, or it should have gone. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And to go back to my prep a little bit for this, what I did with my thermal clip-on was I just took my rifle, bolted it in a vise, and looked through my optic, and then put the clip-on on, and decided, like, okay, that's pointing in pretty much the same spot. But I did not go shoot it. Because, the theorizing in my mind is that you should be able to just put the thermal clip on in front of the optic, and if it's pointing at the same spot both times, everything should work, right? Right? No. So I kind of saw where I missed on that first set, and was like, okay, I'm not sighted incorrectly.
Oh,
Oh, you got an echo. Mute, Dave.
I did. I muted him. His computer's updating.
Realized I'm not sighted incorrectly, but I'm gonna go with it. We're gonna figure this out. It'll be fine. That was the first set. Dave, all we're on is the first set. Y'all shot a coyote where out there where I couldn't see it, and then 400. Oh, that one was at 400 yards. Okay, well, no wonder I couldn't see it. I couldn't even identify a coyote at that distance. Trying to remember. I mean, there was a lot of just driving up to places, and the theme of the night was that in Kansas, they allow night hunting of coyotes with thermal and night vision from January 1 to March 31st. So you can't do it year round, but that means that there is a huge rush during the first quarter of the year to go out there and do the coyote killing at night. And that means they get called out, and the coyotes get really skittish. So you get to the point where your coyotes are very wary of calling. We got to a lot of sets where we would get out and we'd scan with the thermal, because there was a couple of thermal monoculars in hand too. And we'd get out and we'd scan and be like, oh, what, got dogs out this way, 700 yards. And Ty would go set out the call, and he would touch off the call, and the dogs would go, oop, turn around and go the other direction. Or they would, just sit around at 500 or 600 or 700 yards going, I don't know. And eventually just kind of wander off.
Coyotes are like, wait a minute. Nope, that's track number 13, comes preloaded on the, I forget what type of call they use. But they're like, wait a minute. Oh, heard that one before.
Oh, this is K2. This one gets me every time. And they just start howling. But yeah. Ty's in the chat. He said that's also when all of our contests are. Yeah, that's right. The contests. Yeah, that was another thing. We did get hits on a number of dogs. We only actually dragged one up to take a picture of because of how far out they were. We're like, yeah, we're not going out there.
We did walk out to try to find one, but we fucking lost it because grass was pretty tall.
Yeah, grass was tall and stuff can just disappear out there. And especially, that was another thing, judging distance without the rangefinder. I found out was pretty tough because I'm looking through mine, like, how far away is this? And then when someone would call a number, I'd be like, you're kidding. Like, there's no way that is that number. That's not what I'm looking at. But of course, you're just looking at a screen that has, pixels on it, and it's ridiculous. And like, there's not 500 yards. And I don't think we had anything come in except, okay, one time we had one come in at like maybe 25, but that's as far as you could see in that direction, and no one was looking that direction because we thought, no way, there's something's going to come in over there. And then of course someone turned around and like, there it is, and I think maybe that was Brandon, and he missed and it ran off.
Was that up kind of up by the Colorado line? It was the stand right before. Yeah, that was Ty that shot at that one. And I was scanning, and I was like, dog. And I'm trying to get my fucking scope turned back on, and I hear Ty holler to try to stop the coyote, and it took off. I think we only got skunked on one set, though, didn't we?
Where we didn't see anything at all?
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Yeah, that was the one down by that old homestead, and we're out there looking around, and the wind was up at that point. I think it was like 3:30 in the morning. And the wind was high, and just that was also we sat out there a shorter amount of time than any other one, because I think everyone was just like, this sucks right here. We're not seeing anything. We can see pretty far in every direction. We're leaving.
Yeah.
So, but most of the time, like, we saw at least a couple dozen dogs over the course of the night and had shots on multiple of them. And, maybe not to our credit, May took shots at multiple of them and contacted some.
There was one set that when we were in with the cows, I think there was 9 dogs running around that we could see.
Oh yeah, but that was also one where, like, we look out there and like, oh, there's dogs out there, and he touches off the call, and they're like, ooh, and turned around and went the other direction. And then you finally got one in kind of close, and I wasn't in a position where I could get a shot on it because I was looking behind us, and there was a dog at about 700 yards or so that I just saw as like a tiny little dot wandering underneath the irrigation circle, waiting to see if it would turn around and come our direction. But I want to go back to like that one where we went out there and looked for the dog, because that was probably one of my favorite sets of the night, because we set up and we start calling, and the wind's out of the north, and I'm looking to the north. A couple of y'all are looking south, but it's right after we touch off that call, we get a response like almost immediately from the north. So I don't know if that was a territorial threat call or something of that nature. But
they were barking and growling back at us.
Oh yeah, they were barking at us, and we could hear them off in the distance. They finally came in maybe at 150 yards. Yeah, and
I can't remember what they were at.
I don't know. That's the other thing. Like, they looked like this in my screen. That's all I can tell you. Like, I could see the actual, like, that is a dog in mine. That, if that tells you how close they were. And they didn't do that until maybe the 300-yard mark at the furthest in my thermal. I know y'all could see them much better. But on that one, you got up there next to me, and they counted down, and there was, I think, 2, maybe 3 dogs, and it was just you and me on the line. It was like 3, 2, 1, and we took our shots. And that was the first time I know I contacted one, because he went down. But then a little bit later, I took a couple shots at yours because it started running, but then I saw mine get back up, and that's when you put another one in it, if I recall correctly.
I think Brandon put another one in it.
Okay. But we went out there after that, couldn't find Jack. We wandered around for a good 10 minutes out there, and they had a laser light out there. They were shining where it should have been, and we could not find it. It was like intensely frustrating, but also it wasn't that big a deal. We wanted to get on to the next set wherever we happen to be going. I should point out at this point, like they could have like dumped us in the middle of nowhere at any point. I mean, we would not have known where we were. Like I am somewhere in Kansas. I'm pretty sure that is north, just because that's where the wind comes from.
There's a feedlot over there because it's bright.
Feedlots, pump jacks, actually things that generate quite a bit of heat that you might not think
Mhm.
about, and they're little blobs on your thermal that are out there attracting your attention that are hard to like. I cannot count how many times I was out there like, hey, what's that? Hey, what's that? What is that? Like
Mhm.
asking the guys like, what is this thing that I'm looking at? And they tell me like, oh, that's a pump jack. Oh, that's a compressor station of some sort for something. I don't know.
Dude, the fucking jackrabbits.
Oh yeah, I talked about that while you were doing stuff. Like
Yeah.
the jackrabbit running into the wounded rabbit call.
Yeah. they were fucking huge.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey, looking through the thermal, there's like 6 fucking coyotes out here. Nope, those are all rabbits.
No, that's a rabbit. Like, are you serious?
Like Boone and Crockett jackrabbits. Big bastards.
Uh
Did
how
you
many
shoot him?
Mm-mm.
No. That's small game, not night shooty thing.
Gotcha.
Neato.
Well, that's
So how many in total do you think you shot?
Oh,
A lot. 10,
10,
12, 100?
There's
Genocide
some
numbers?
where it's fairly obvious we got hits, but they just kept running.
I mean, I'll count them.
Oh, did you talk about the long range shot?
Oh no, I was waiting on you for that.
Yeah. So
that
we
that was
broke their
yours.
long range record at 533 yards. Dusted a coyote.
We were out there. I think we were on the. Okay, so we parked along the county road, and directly behind us, on that side of the road, was Colorado,
Mhm.
and we're looking to the east into Kansas, making sure we're definitely on the Kansas side, looking that direction.
Can confirm we were in Kansas. I drive that road all the time.
And I don't know. I'll let Dave tell this one because I was totally out to like, we won't take a shot at this. And I'm like, dude, whatever. I can't. I'm looking at a thermal blob out there somewhere. I don't even know. I'm just sending and praying at that point.
We get set up and we're kind of in a creek bottom. It's a pretty wide creek bottom. It's, I don't know, 300-400 yards across. And we get set up. We start calling. There's a bunch of deer down to our south. And so we're looking at those and then scanning back and forth. And finally, I see this little blip come over the hill and then disappear, and then come back over the hill and disappear. And at this time, like when Brandon gave me that rifle to use, I kick it on, everything was good. It was running in white hot, so everything I saw that was a heat signature was white. Well, halfway through the hunt, he's like, "Oh shit, your shit needs adjusted," so he switched it and he changed it to black hot. And so that was the first time I had used that rifle in black hot when I was actually looking through it. My scanner was always in white hot, but I see what I think is a coyote coming over the ridge and then just kind of disappearing. And he was slowly working his way down towards us. And it just the calling, it was more of a nuisance to him, I guess. But he starts working his way down to us, and then he just fucking stops, and he's just dicking around, doing whatever he wants to do. We're like, okay, we want to take a shot, and everybody lines up, and we count it down. Everybody shoots, and there's just dust all around this fucking coyote, and he takes off, and we're like, well, okay, and so we're watching. And all of a sudden he fucking piles up like dead sprint, just fucking end over end over end. I'm like, oh, that was fucking cool. But yeah, it was 533 when we took the shot. 533 yards. Which
Yeah, I didn't shoot on that one.
it's one of the
'Cause-
longest shots on a coyote I have ever taken, let alone at night.
I already filled him in on how like I was not sighted incorrectly.
Hmm.
Because I just kind of not bore sighted it. I just optically matched the clip on to the scope, and I have an
Mhm.
update on that later. But we can move on from that.
Well, you were close.
Well, I wasn't shooting at that one like at
No.
500 yards. I'm like, no, that's like the limit of my range with the 5.56 in daylight, and yeah, not doing that.
Yeah.
I was running 75 grain hollow points the whole
Mhm.
night. And I realized I had a problem halfway through the night because I was having issues sometimes. Realized later that some of my ammo, which were all hand loads, had to have grown a little bit because they were a little slightly compressed and they weren't feeding correctly. Like the spring pressure wasn't enough to push them up because they were rubbing against the front of the mag body. So I had to deal with that at one
okay.
point.
That's I heard you getting frustrated.
Yeah.
Like you had a failure to feed or something.
Yeah. I could have switched over to the 50 grain VMAX at any point because I had a couple mags of that with me, but I was like, I already kind of know where this is hitting, so I'll just move on from there.
Yeah.
And it was before that 500-yard shot that we had tandem those two, and I'd hit one, and I was like, okay, so I kind of know where I'm hitting from here. So
Yeah.
I think I'm
And to
hitting
be
a
fair-
little bit right, and I think I'm hitting a little bit high, so I'll just kind of run with that for the rest of the night.
We were aiming at the same dog on that one. The one that we walked out, the first one that we walked out on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Brandon was on the other side of the pickup aiming at the dog to the left.
Oh, see, I thought it was just the two of us.
Yeah, it was standing next to each other, but yeah, we dusted that son of a bitch.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But we did a couple more sets after that. We saw coyotes on every one of them except the second to last one, I think. Yeah,
Dude, I don't
That was
even
the
know.
second to
Like,
last.
I have no idea how many sets we did.
I lost count.
Though I did notice later that we were where we were, like the state line was like 20 miles away, and we
Mhm.
drove all the way out to the state line and then back and did sets in between. It was like,
Yeah.
oh boy, we were all over the place.
That last one though,
That last one.
was the gift that kept on giving.
So just for a little bit of context, we roll into the last set. They had talked about doing this place last before we finished up because it was maybe a half mile from the base where we had started. And we roll in there for the last set at about right at 4 a.m. I remember looking down, it's basically 4 a.m. We didn't leave that set until 4:45.
Mhm.
Jeez.
Because stuff kept happening.
It was ridiculous.
And you guys were up later by over an hour, no more than that, than we were down in Springfield.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
called it what 3 or 4 when I was like,
3.
I finally was like, oh, dude, I'm fucking beat.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Dude, this was the first all-nighter I pulled since like college.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was a good one. But
It was a doozy.
yeah, we get set up and we're in a big old draw. And they
Okay,
start
and for
calling.
context, what made this great too was like the wind was up, but there was an old shop building there that we
Mhm.
pulled down in, and we stood on the south side of the shop building, so we were out of the wind just watching this draw. Like, okay, this is kind of nice. This is a nice spot. This spot is good. So we could actually sit there for a little bit, calling and watching. And so we were sitting there, and we start getting, signatures off to the left, which is kind of the northeast. And, like, what are those? Are those dogs? Is it rabbits? Trying to figure it out. And
Found
then
some deer.
yeah, there was deer. Then we started getting some signatures to the south and southwest, down back toward the road bridge. And we actually watched a dog go down to the road bridge, cross over the road with the bridge to, get over the creek, but then go the other direction on the other field. Dave, I don't think I have a lot of the stuff that happened quite in the right order in my head.
I'm trying to piece it together too. There's so much shit.
We had dogs coming in from the southwest. We had dogs coming in from the southeast. We had
East.
maybe a couple come in. Well, yeah, a couple come
We
in
had
from the
3
north.
come in from the first 2 dogs that we saw were like straight east of us. And they came in and then they kind of milled around and then they caught our wind and shagged ass.
Then there was one they see some stuff coming across the road to the southwest of us. And one of the guys told me, move over here. And I'm looking and I'm like, I'm tracking, I'm trying to find stuff. And they're like, and then I hear Dave like, oh, there's a dog. I'm like, where are you looking? Because I'm trying to look over at him to see where he's pointing to find out where this dog is.
But it's dark outside, so I can't see him.
But it's dark outside. And yeah. And
Over there. Where? There.
And I finally turn and I see him. And it's like the closest we've been to a dog all freaking night. Like they have been out there and the shots I have made, like it's like they're further away than I think they are. But we count down 3, 2, 1. Everyone presses the trigger and this dog takes off running. And I hear a couple shots. I'm tracking the dog right to left and I swing through them and I hear a space in the shots and I press the trigger and I see that dog tumble. I was like, yes!
That was a hell of a shot.
Like I got him. And then once he rolls, he starts to get back up and I send another one and put one in him and he stays there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was still up at that point. And I think Dave, you put another one in him too.
I did not. I was waiting. I thought you were going to finish him off. And so we're sitting there watching this coyote with his head up, like
Waiting to be finished off.
yeah, just laying there. And then I'll be goddamn if some more coyotes don't come up. And by this time, Ty's like grabbing the call, start to pack back or he didn't grab the call, but he was starting to walk back towards the pickup. And we're like, hey, we got more coyotes.
Ty.
Yeah, hit the call again. And sure shit, here come more coyotes.
Yeah, coming in from the southeast was 2 more. There's actually a creek down there which was pretty steep, but there was no water in it, which I found out later. But yeah, 2 more come up from the southeast, and they come up about probably 75 yards from where their buddy went down, and they kind of start trotting that direction. And of course, we have the wind. They don't know we're there because we have the wind at that point. It's crossways between us, so nothing's blowing in their direction. And so they're howling, trying to get them to stop. And I'll admit, I kind of messed this one up because
I could not find those 2 until it was like fucking go time. Like they were just getting ready to count down. I'm like, where the fuck are they? You're like left. And I'm like, oh, there they are.
Yeah. I didn't hear a count. Apparently I shot on the count of 2. I did not hear a count. I was just waiting for them to stop. And I thought once we howled and they stopped, and then it was everyone fire. But of course, that kind of goes along with like, it's 4 a.m. and I'm mentally dusted. And yeah, that has not been the rule all night. We have not just shot whenever they stopped all night. It's always been a countdown. But on that one, I was like, well, why wouldn't we just shoot whenever they stopped? Anyway, I messed that one up. We took shots at them. They run off. We might have hit one of them just peripherally, but nothing to fold them up and get anything confirmed on it. But we saw at least 9 coyotes, I think, on that one.
It
Just
fucking crazy.
But I wanted a picture, so I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go down there and I'm gonna go get that coyote. I'm gonna drag it back up there, and I think it's dead, right? Because it hasn't moved in like 20 minutes of us shooting. And
Can I tell my real short version of this from my point of view?
Go ahead.
Okay.
This is actually funny.
So Vince wants to. We want a picture with this coyote, right? And so Vince is like, "Well, I'll hike out there and get it." And so Brandon,
It's further
Ty,
than
and
I thought it was.
Brandon,
It
Ty, and I-
always is.
Yeah, Brandon's got his laser set on the coyote, bolts open, so because lasers on the rifle, bolts open, and boom, we can fucking see it. Everybody's looking at it in our scanners. It's laying out there in the open, on the grass, nothing like that. We can see this fucking coyote. And Vince goes hiking off, and we're standing around kind of bullshitting, and Vince is trucking right along, and I look over and like check on Vince's progress a couple minutes later, and I see Vince running. I'm like, oh, Vince is running. And they're like, why is he running? I was like, well, he does run and gun shit. He's built for running. And then I look further and I'm like, where's that fucking coyote? And then I look further past Vince and I see this little heat signature go whoop and disappear into this creek. I'm like, no fucking shit. That coyote got back up. They're like, are you kidding me? And then we hear Vince, we hear a phew, and we're like, oh, well, maybe he got him. And then Vince runs again. And then Vince disappears into the creek. And I'm like, oh man.
That's the last time we saw him.
Like, uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I'm walking out there and, I've got my light clipped to my hat and I'm just walking out there taking a look at things. Every once in a while, I'm looking through my thermal to make sure, where I'm going and I can see it's still there. And I get up a little bit closer and I shine my rifle light out there because I got 1,000 lumens and I see eyes. I'm like, that's not good because they're horizontal, not vertical. Like if they're vertical, we're good, but they're horizontal. I'm like, oh shoot, this thing's still up. This thing's still alive. And so I switched to my thermal to get a better look and it's gone. And now I'm in a predicament. Like, so how ambulatory is this coyote? Like, am I going to get charged by this thing at some point? Who knows? So I'm out there and I take off running in that direction to get to the creek bank. And I stand out there and I start scanning, trying to find something. And like, I can't see anything. I don't see any movement out there. You can see open in the distance. And so I get up to the creek bank and I finally look down in there and I'm just using white light at this point. And I see him down in there. And he's just laying at the bottom of the creek because that's as far as he could go. I had to put 2 more in this coyote to get him to die. Like I shot him like in the body the first time, and then he just kind of turns around and looks at me again, and I was like, and I shot him in the neck, and he finally expires. And so then I'd go down in there, and I'm like, okay, I need to drag this thing back up there, and realize there is not a leg on this coyote that I really want to grab because of what has happened to it in the meantime. Knowing what I know now, I thought my first hit took his front legs out from under him and sent him tumbling. I think my initial hit was the hit that broke both of his back femurs, which I will say would have killed any deer because I had to have broken both of the femoral arteries. But these animals are just so tough sometimes for whatever reason.
He laid there for what, 10-15 minutes?
A while. It was a while. It wasn't like we were just standing there watching either. We were shooting at other stuff. And
We shot at 3 other coyotes.
Yeah. So I finally get him and I drag him back up there. And we get some nice pictures with it and some fun. the video of me dragging him up, through the thermal camera is me grabbing him by the scruff of the neck because the back legs are so bloodied and the front legs are the back legs are so broken and the front legs are so bloodied that I don't want to actually grab it. So the only place I could grab it was by the scruff of the neck. But yeah, that thing took 4 hits. One bullet, I think, went through both front legs, but caused less damage because there wasn't as much resistance. Like there wasn't a broken bone. It just somehow caught flesh going through both legs. And then the other hit that absolutely shredded the 2 femurs at the going through. Blood everywhere. Still managed to crawl out, and yeah, Ty is like, "Hey, you want to take a drag with you?" And I'm like, "Nah, it'll be fine. I'll just grab it by the leg."
Yeah.
I texted Dave while I was down there, like, I should have taken the drag.
Yeah.
Like, I regret my decisions. I thought about taking my belt off and tying it around his neck.
Or you just leave him out there and go, yeah, never mind.
You take a picture and then you
Oh, no,
was
I was-
already in it. He was bound and determined.
I
to get
was
the son of a
too
bitch
far
back.
in there. Like, I am bringing this guy. And then I get out of the creek and I'm like, okay, they can finally see me, but I have no idea where to go because now I know I'm looking somewhat west, but I have no idea where they are on this rise. So I'm like over there, like flashing my hand in front of my flashlight, trying to get their attention.
Mhm.
Someone finally shines a light out there so I
That was
can
me.
kind of, I was like, oh, thank goodness.
I was like, we're right here.
Like, I don't want to walk off 400 yards that direction, and really I was supposed to go that direction, but at least I went up the right side of the embankment. So I'm gonna finish up my story about that by saying I finally went out and checked my rifle today and shot it with the thermal on. And at 25 yards, I was hitting 4 inches to the right.
Oh, that might explain some stuff.
Yeah. Elevation wasn't too bad. Like, you could say elevation one way or the other. Like, it was a little bit low at that distance, but that may have just been a fine 0 for 100 to 200 yards, somewhere in there. But yeah, I was hitting well to the right. And I thought I was hitting high. I was not hitting high. So the whole night I was also kind of aiming a little bit low, thinking I was hitting high and right. But really, I was just hitting right. And the fact that I hit anything, it's kind of surprising. Though that running shot at the end of the night, I had been making shots all night and seeing where I was missing. And like, okay, here we go. And pop. And sent him rolling. It was like, yeah. Finally got one. But
Yeah,
that was the
a good
last
shot.
stand of the night. Turned out to be the best one. We spent 45 minutes there.
Yep.
And
Then we
that was a
packed
good
up
one.
and drove back to old fucking Springfield.
Yep. We drove back to Springfield and I laid up at the truck stop for a couple of hours and caught a nap. We were going to go shoot prairie dogs the next day or that day, whatever you want to call it.
In a couple hours.
You were gonna
In a
take
couple hours.
a nap and shoot more things.
Yeah. Double the dogs.
Mhm.
But then I got to looking, and when I went to Big R to get my license, I came upon the realization that so to get an out-of-state license in Colorado, you need a hunter education, which I have, but you have to verify it through Colorado Parks and Wildlife beforehand. So you have to take yours and submit it and have them say yes, and then you have basically a Colorado hunter education. Even though it's yours, it's just verified through them.
You don't have to have it verified, but if you don't have yours verified, you have to have your hunter safety card with you.
Is
on
that
you.
what it's?
Because
See,
I'm not verified with Colorado because I haven't gone to the Parks and Wildlife office to get verified. So
Right.
I carry my hunter safety card everywhere.
Either way, I just ran into that problem, and it's like, well, crap. I have an 8-hour drive ahead of me, so I'm just gonna call this. I'm gonna call this one. I'm done, and I'm gonna. From there, I just drove back to Oklahoma. And see, that's why I did not say I wasn't in Kansas anymore, because by the time I was driving back, I was in Colorado, and that just doesn't make any sense.
There.
I was on my way down for this prairie dog adventure, and I made it almost to Pueblo. And Dave's like, Mike, night, change of plan. And I looked at it. He sent it like 20 minutes ago, and I was like, oh,
Balls.
okay. So I
Sorry.
got pulled off the highway, and I sat down, and I was like, all right, well, that's disappointing, but it's at the same time, it's totally understandable. Like, you guys had a long night, and nobody wants a ticket or deal with any stupid silliness. So yeah,
I think going back, someone asked how many dogs. I think we hit the whole night. Verifiably, I think 5. Like, if I heard a yelp, I count it. Right?
yeah, it's gonna die later on.
Oh, did you tell him about my fuck up?
Oh, what was yours? I don't remember. I remember
So-
very few things.
In where we were by the cows, where we were standing by that old sprinkler that was down.
Yeah.
That we were tripping over.
Why are you tripping?
We called in. That was where there was 9 fucking dogs running around us. There's 3 fucking shagging ass to the north. There was 3 kind of fiddle fucking around with the cows. There was 2 more that came in.
There's one behind us that I was
from the
staring at.
Yeah, that
hoping
was the
to
one
come
that you were looking at a
closer.
lot.
They're like, "Where's Vince?" And I'm like 30 yards away, looking behind us, like, never mind.
We call up a double, and they come up from like the southwest, and Brandon and I are standing there lined up, and Ty's like, all right, you guys ready? And so we start counting down 3, 2, 1, and Brandon shoots, and he's like, fuck. And then I squeeze the trigger, and nothing fucking happens. Like, what in the fuck is the deal? And I'm like, God damn it. Fucking chamber a new round, squeeze trigger, nothing. Click the safety off. Then I was like, oh, that's what the problem was. And I swear I checked the safety twice as those dogs were coming up. But that, I don't know.
The old Howa Minis got a 3-position safety all the way back, locked the bolt.
Yeah, it was all the way back. And I had checked it, and I was like, surely that's up. But
middle is safe, but you can rack the bolt, and forward is fire.
Yeah, no, she was all the way safe. I just didn't push hard enough. Apparently, my thumb was a puss at that time. But yeah, those 2 got away.
Bitch ass thumb.
That one that Brandon missed, it ducked on him. He was mad. But as soon as he touched one off, it went whoop and missed it.
Can't get me.
I remember when we went out a couple of years ago, Ty was like, Mike, you want to shoot my rifle? And I was like, yeah, sure. And this is when he was expecting no one to run a bolt gun like I can. And we got some dogs coming in, and there was one, and everybody missed on the first go, but I ran the bolt, and I got on again, fired at the sprinting dog, missed again, racked a third one, fired again, racked a fourth, took like a careful lead, judged its distance, like, one of those snapshots, we do everything in your head, and squeezed the trigger, and I saw him tumble right behind a hill. We never went out there to see if we actually got him, but I saw him tumble, so I'm counting it.
He just tripped.
I will say
it was a rock.
Just got his legs a little tangled up, like, oh.
On a few of those shots, I took some running shots on dogs before that final stand, and if my rifle had been sighted correctly, those probably would have been hits.
Mm-hmm.
Just because where I was leading, and finally I led out a little bit further and let one go. I was like, oh, there we go. I had a final thought. Oh yeah, on that last one where the dog was down in the ditch. I advocate for, if you're gonna run a thermal at night, have white light available and have a sighting option besides your main thermal sight or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I still advocate for that. I had an offset red dot. I actually had the Gideon Optics Rock in a 45-degree offset, and that's what I used to dispatch that last dog down in the ditch with my white light rather than mess with the thermal. Though I should have taken video of me doing that, because I didn't take any video through the thermal all night long because got busy. Because you see a dog come out and then suddenly it's business. You're just the business is killing the dog and not like taking a picture, which is also why like the predictive technology that some of your thermals have, where they're recording constantly, but it's constantly deleting until you take a shot. It senses the recoil and then back pieces the few seconds before you took the shot and then takes video after you take the shot.
Yeah.
Which is really helpful if you just want to get your nice videos of the murdering spree.
Yep. Brandon is uploading a bunch of videos and shit. So, and
There's
pictures.
several gigs big.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Lots of them.
it's going to be a while. It's going to be like 3 or 4 days from now.
Though, if you see pictures of me out there, when you run Black Hot and you have facial hair, the facial hair shows up white and the skin shows up black, and so I'm not doing a cosplay of like Black Pete. So
You just look like a negative gnome to me.
No, I like how his skin is black and his beard is white. It's like the exact opposite of him in
This
person.
is like the time my grandma bought a little Santa statue from like J.C. Penney's and opened it and found out it was Black Santa.
Famous Amos goes berserk.
She returned that surprisingly quickly.
But no, it was a great time. And thank you to Ty and Brandon. They were
it was indeed
fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's so glad. I'm so glad y'all got to do that. That's fucking.
there are talks of Kansas going to all year thermal. So we will see what happens there. If that's the case, I'm going back in November, because in Kansas, whenever you buy your non-resident hunt license, it's good for a year from the day you bought it.
365 days.
I am good all the way up until last weekend.
Yep, same here.
So
this
if
is
not, I
something
will
we can
be
do
back
again.
out there beginning of January, and we're going to do some contest.
I may have to find my way out there for that.
I got to find a thermal so I don't mooch all the time.
I may mooch. Good. I'm not buying another one between now and then, but the stuff they had was just primo.
Mhm.
Of course, Brandon's got the hookup. Got
Yeah, he does. He
the
does.
access.
Well,
I did like mine, but it's definitely like a multi-use unit that is not the prime thing for coyote hunting. I'd
I
use
was
it again. It'd be
surprised.
fine.
I was surprised at how clear yours was
Really?
when I looked through it. I was like, God damn.
I looked through. I'm not sure. I think maybe I looked through yours. You had the 75, right?
Yeah.
On yours. I looked through that. I'm like, never mind. I'm going back over here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even going to look through that. It's just a money suck.
But no, it was a
This
great
game.
time.
Yeah, it was good. The glow from that one is going to go on for a while.
I will bring more coffee next time.
Yeah, you even have a slight smile today.
But
Killing
I-
Kyle
that was-
is fun.
that was our weekend.
I too have a slight smile. I have the glow. I'm gonna get to
A
taste my first
glow?
beaver, fellas.
The glow? No,
Finally?
whoa, bullshit! I gave you a. This isn't your first beaver. I gave you a freaking back leg off that very
No,
first one.
his
You made
first
barbecue
beaver.
Yeah,
sandwiches.
my first beaver is the first.
Not your
beaver
sloppy seconds.
Yeah, like you gave me some after you were done with it. Like this one, I worked for myself, sort of.
You still have that beaver liver in your freezer.
God damn it, Sam.
It's true.
Oh
I thought
man,
about scavenging the liver off this one just so he could have two.
Dave, we missed an opportunity.
Yeah, to get him some coyote meat.
Coyote liver.
Oh,
I don't know if he wanted that one. Swiss
anyway.
coyote. Not Swiss
Gross.
cheese.
that one was a little shot up. This kind of. Anyway,
So anyway,
Mike, go ahead.
So I was bored this weekend, and I texted Sam, and I was like, "Hey, let's go beaver hunting Monday or Tuesday." And he's like, "Well, we have a thing that we do every Tuesday." And I was like, "No, that can wait." But
Oh,
he
the
was
list
like,
the list was a lot longer than just Tuesday. You were like, it's like, well, let's see. Monday I'll be sore as all hell. Tuesday is podcast. Wednesday sign language class. I was just like, all right, we better just do Monday then.
Glad we did. So he wanted to go up there. He went to the shooting range for a while, and I was like, I'm not really into that. I'll just meet you up there. And met him up there right about 6 o'clock.
I had to get my rifle re-zeroed after it took that bash in the face. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it was my helmet inside the big Pelican box. And then coming back from where I go shooting, there's a really washed out part of the road. I'm pretty sure going down that, some stuff shifted in the back, and it went bang.
From
That's
the
why
last
you
time we
always
were up there.
put an extra Ugga on the
Oh, it was Ugga
on the
Dugga,
rings.
but
You Ugga Dugga until the lens cracks, then you know it's
Do it
tight.
harder. Oh my goodness. I had a scope one time that I tightened it down until it started bending the tube.
it was creaking.
Ooh.
It was a
just
steel
bends the
tube
light.
too.
It
I was
just bends the light.
surprised.
Now you can look around corners.
No, it wasn't like bending. It was like just like
Wasn't like
constricting it.
corner shot.
And then it's like I
Oh.
couldn't put any other rings on it besides the ones I had originally put on it because they would just tighten down all the way and then just be slippy slidey around.
See it like an oval sight picture now.
Yeah, that used to be a feature. They made scopes like that. That it was called the TV view.
Yeah,
It was like this
widescreen.
Yeah,
You just got the the Lord of the Rings extended edition in widescreen with that scope. That's all.
This scope is edited from its original version. It has been formatted to fit your screen.
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we get up there. He said he was going to meet me when like he was going to be out there set up, and I was like, all right, cool. So Ella and I get up and we're getting set up and unpacked and everything. And here he comes, Lulu, being Sam. And
Lulu, I got chum apples. Lulu.
Lulu.
I went down. I got there ahead of you, and then went down and scattered around a little bit just to see what was what, and then sat my ass down on the hillside for a bit, and then figured, they should be here by now, and you were. So,
I
sure
see
were.
it now. Sam is who Butters grows up to be.
it's fine.
Genuinely growing. I had some friends in my early 20s to late 30s, and their nickname for me was Butters. Anyway, they kept telling me it wasn't because of the South Park character, and I was like, nah, bullshit. And then my mom found out about this nickname, and then she was like, who's Butters? And so I showed her some clips of Butters, and she was like, yeah, it's the South Park character. And I was like, yeah, I know. Anyway.
No, it's not
No.
South Park. No,
you buy. So we get there. My plan was, because we got set up and the beaver immediately poked his head up last time. I was like, no, let's be there half an hour before
one
that's
sec.
supposed to happen.
I would just like to point out that Dave was just bragging about his fast new internet and his fast new computer, and he
And
is
he's-
once again dead. Twice in one show.
Rip Dave.
Anyway, continue.
So I I wanted to get out there half an hour prior to when he was supposed to surface his head. So I wanted to be set up about 6:15, which Sam, you've talked about repeatedly. The beavers are most active about half hour before sunset. If you're sitting on the pond, that's when they're going to poke their head out and start swimming.
In springtime.
Right.
In wintertime, it's literally it is fur bearers. We can go half hour after sunset. In wintertime, they don't come out until it's like you can't even see them hardly, and you're sitting there. Was it last year before? I think I went out like 3 times and just came back empty-handed because it's like, I think that's a beaver. It could be a muskrat. Either way, I can't shoot it because I only see this vague blob moving through the water. Springtime's much better because they actually come out in daylight and you go, oh yeah, that's definitely a beaver, or that's a little muskrat, instead of it being just like, well, shapes in the water.
And this was great too because we had the sun at our backs. The sun was going down right as all this was going on, so it just illuminated the pond perfectly. It was great. So I had told my daughter that I was going to go up beaver hunting, and I was like, listen, if you want to go, no playing on daddy phone. Like, you got to hunt with me. You're going to sit with me. We'll sit and watch the pond and we'll do it together. She's like,
You're
okay.
going to kill the beaver and you're going to like it.
And you're going to use this knife. It's not even sharp.
Daddy, no.
Man, we know the difficulty of a sharp knife going through beaver. Anyway, we'll get to
You're saying
that.
your knife isn't sharp?
No, I'm saying that even a sharp knife will not cut beaver very well.
Yeah, I bet it would.
I burned through multiple replaceable blades on my outdoor edge knives. I had to. You don't make
have
it
my
very
sharpener next to me today to finish skinning it out. It's
you're-
dull again.
If you're actually doing the skinning, you don't make it very far before it gets so dull that your knife just kind of.
Something about
massages
cutting
the
through
bristle.
beaver fat.
Do either of you have like a high-end steel blade?
Probably not. It's a Browning.
Okay.
Like, I could have been using the Noble Knife Design knife that I have, but I bet that holds a blade a lot better.
No, we tried that the first year and it got dull. Remember?
Maybe it was already dull, or maybe
I
we
don't
were
think
just.
it was already dull.
Okay,
Oh,
so
you think it dulled out on the beaver, and then we couldn't get it sharp again?
Yeah.
there's some
Oh.
high-end blades. Okay, the problem with some high-end blade steels is that to get edge retention and corrosion resistance in a blade, you have to sacrifice the maintainability of the blade. So you get into that area and like it's hard to sharpen on your own, and you have to have someone with, the right tools to do it. But like I have taken an S35 VN steel blade and cut through sternum on a deer and then continued to like quarter it out, cut out all the meat, and then and skin it before that, and do that for a couple of deer before I ever had to sharpen it. So it's like, I know the disposable blades are popular and everything, but like high end, you gotta have something that's.
The only thing I'm going to say is that skinning out deer is a hell of a lot easier than skinning out a beaver.
I'm not saying it isn't. Okay, I mean,
Agreed.
I
'cause
skinned out.
I skinned out the one I had with a utility knife, and I think I changed the blade once.
I skinned out an otter before. I mean, I think that's maybe close, but maybe not. I mean,
It's similar animal.
Beaver. All I'll
Kinda.
say is beaver are notoriously hard to skin because of just how much freaking gristle holds that hide onto their fat layer and onto their muscle. But
I
anyway.
want to find a
that
beaver
weird
and go
foam
skin it.
fat that
I
you
really
have to
do.
cut through is really, really strange.
Oh,
that shit,
wait, which fat?
the foam looking fat
The shit like right under here.
under his neck, around his
Yeah.
ass, like.
The stuff that looks like it might be diseased and or infected, but it's not.
I
But
like
main
all the.
chunks of it are right underneath the. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Anyway,
You haven't got the beaver in this story yet.
no, not yet. As far as you all know, I missed again. So we went
Yeah,
straight to the.
I actually shot it. It was all me.
We went straight to the same pond that we were at 2 weeks ago when I
Dusky's
missed.
right. It sounds
and-
like a hog. It's like a little water hog.
I had
I'm writing that down.
That's a good one.
I went to the range, shot 3 mags, like 90 rounds, and got much more. My body was just like, oh yeah, here it is, rifle. And so I felt much more comfortable with the rifle. It got resighted to, or just the 0 verified. So I was comfortable. Went up there.
verify 0.
You guys are getting paid?
Check your 0, kids.
First thing we do is I get the rifle set up. I get laid down. And I pull out my rangefinder, and Sam's like, "You should start range." And I already had it in my hand, and he was like, "Oh, okay."
I was looking the other way. This pond is like a big kidney shape.
It
It's a lot
is.
skinnier at one top, and I was looking at the bottom of the kidney where the dam is, and you were looking at the top. So I was looking this way. I was like, "Oh, if you brought your rangefinder, you shouldn't." I'm like, never mind.
So I ranged to where the beaver was a couple of weeks ago, and the bank on the other side was 52 yards, and he was in the middle of the pool, so I'm guessing 40 yards. So yeah, anyway, did the ranging, got set up, knew exactly what was going to happen this time, and then we sat and we waited for about 15 minutes. And Ella, true to her form, she was a little impatient, but she got right next to me and she was ready. And as soon as she got down and she was like, "Okay, I'm ready for something to happen," I looked out at the water and I was like, "There's one." Just start swimming right to left, heading towards the north in the water. And I don't know if Sam could hear me, but I was like, "Dude, there's one." And I get set up on him.
Yeah, I heard you.
The problem with my position was I was behind the same tree I was a couple weeks ago. It was great position, but every time he made it another like 3 or 4 yards in the water, I had to pick up the bipod and move the rifle again. And I was like, man, this bush is going to get in the way of my shot if he keeps going further left. And turns out for some reason, he was swimming left and then he came back right. And as he started swimming right, I was like, all right, I got him
Just
now.
looking around.
Yeah, I'm sure. It did him a lot of good. Just looking for danger. He started swimming back right, and I was like, okay, now I got him. Waited till he got in a good, comfortable spot. Centered the chevron. Did not do any fucky stupid shit this time. I just centered the chevron right behind his eyeball and squeezed. I don't remember seeing anything. I remember hearing the supersonic crack of the round. But I remember like the splash on the water was not the same splash as it was before. It was more of a splash and then splash, 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 like writhing around. And I was like, yeah, didn't miss him this time.
Well, there's a definite head splash and then stillness. So no thrashing, no head tuck ass slap, head tuck ass slap.
No
There you
face
go.
down,
That's what we
ass up.
call it.
That's the way they like to warn
Yeah,
other
'cause they
beavers.
tuck
that
their head
somebody's
into the
coming.
water first. It's not like, bloop. But no, it was a clean shot. I ran over to the lodge entrance just to make sure, because I could see, from there you can see down at the bottom, just to make sure while you went out there and tried to do your little fishy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure it's like, oh crap, he went inside. But not a whole lot I could do. Not like I can shoot through the water.
Yeah. I ran out there. I was about to walk into the middle of the pond with my rifle, and you're like, "You should not." And I was like, "You're right." Put that
Well,
back on the.
turns out
that-
you only had to go waist deep.
You
And that
thought it was a
same-
lot deeper than it was, but
In that same pond, I tried to cross the middle of it back in October or whatever, and basically ran into chest deep within 5 feet. So I
It
like,
was
"Don't you
real
take
silky,
that gun.
too,
If that
so.
thing goes chest deep, you're gonna be sitting here like
Right.
trying to hold it
Not
above your head and pick up a beaver."
done that before. There were bubbles underwater. It was letting air out, showing me where it was. Jumped in the water, went over to it, and finally I was getting concerned because it hadn't made any more bubbles, but I walked over to where I'd last seen it, and there it was, just upside down, blood around its head, like the pale yellow of its teeth just under the water. It was one of those creepy things you only see in
Somebody
movies.
screen grab that.
You know Dusky will.
Thanks.
Its brains floating around like many flotsam and jetsam.
Well, then you grabbed its foot and it kicked and you let it go.
Yeah, I grabbed it by the tail and pulled it out of the water, and apparently it still had some death throes, and it went
Did it scream?
wiggle, wiggle, and I was like, what? And let it go, and it went underwater, back underwater, sank to the bottom of the river into the silt that I had just kicked up. And I was like, I can't see it now.
And from my position, I'm just like, oh, God damn it. You had it, you let it go.
And I was
'Cause
like,
I'm
no,
just
it
paranoid-
can't.
I'm just paranoid, it's going to freaking sink to the bottom, and we'll be out here for an hour going, well, where'd it go?
I was certain it was dead because it looked just like the one that you, when you canoed its forehead.
I know.
It was.
It was just you had it, and you're like, ah.
I wasn't expecting it to thrash when I grabbed it by the tail. I was expecting it to be dead and not react to my touch.
Yeah,
Expected,
when-
unexpected.
When I went to grab that coyote after I'd shot it a couple extra times, and like I don't know if this thing's really dead yet. I'm like, I'm glad I'm down here where they can't see me through the cameras.
Just in case I drop it.
Just gonna drop and go. Ah!
They'll be up there at the top and go, did you hear that? No, what was that?
Oh, I will say, Vince, I'm not trying to detract here too much, but when you were down there in the bottom and you were shooting at it, we really had to listen when you shot. We could hear it from where we were, but it was just a that kind of shit. I know you didn't shoot all those times, but you
Sure.
could hear
Sure, yeah, exactly.
I shot twice. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
it.
Like, why does this coyote look like Swiss cheese? I'm like, shut up.
It was still moving.
It was
So, Mike, you're a wily coyote beaver.
I waited a minute, waited for the silt to clear. Happened to glance down and see the pale yellow of it was either foot claws or the teeth again, or I wasn't sure, but I
Well, the
reached
little
down and
claws
I
are
grabbed
brown.
it.
And the teeth are orange.
Did it come
and
up out
it
of
might have been the teeth.
out of the deep? It's like teeth first, just like. Yeah.
I thought it would be his ear claws.
Oh, I'm on a tangent again. One of the scariest things that's ever happened while I was doing outdoor stuff. So back when I was a kid, we lived a half mile off of Lake Ray Roberts down in Texas. And it was only about 10 years after the lake filled in. So there's plenty of trees still standing. And what you would do is you go run trot lines in between those trees. And one day we went out there and we'd tie like a 2-liter bottle to the line so that, the fish couldn't pull it too far down in. And we get there and that bottle's missing. And we realize it's not because it's gone, it's because it's down below the water. So we go over to the trees and we start pulling it up because something has pulled it down. We don't know what. And as I'm pulling it up on my side, I see this gigantic turtle head just emerge out of the deep, and it scares the living piss out of me. And like, I drop it, and my dad's like, "What are you doing?" Like, I'm like 9 at this point. I'm like, "There's just a thing right there," and it was this gigantic leatherback snapping turtle, gigantic leatherback snapping turtle. Had taken some bait, and of course, it ran out of energy and drowned there. But like, we pulled the head up over the edge and we chopped it off we didn't even mess with it. We chopped that off with a machete we had sitting there just because we weren't going to mess with it. Like, just creature from the deep coming up to kill you. Like, I have not forgotten that. Every time I get in a body of water, I think about that turtle. Like,
So now I'm going to think about that turtle every time I get I'm going to think about that turtle every time I even think about skinny dipping in some sort of body of water such as that.
That's why you
Mike-
always take a 12 gauge when you're fishing. Just in
Mike
case
just-
you do hook a snapping turtle, it's like, haha, You prehistoric armored lizard.
Ah, bitch.
Snap on this.
Oh, fuck. I bet my shotgun barrel.
It's just an improved choke.
So anyway,
Back to your
Anyway.
beaver tooth
So
claw thing.
I
back
get
to
a
how
hold of
many
it
times we
again.
can tangent while Mike's trying to talk about his beaver.
I'm used to you tangenting while I talk about my beaver. Hauled it off the shore. Got it out. We started skinning it out, and Sam started filming it for
Reasons.
research purposes. And we're going over the ins and outs of skinning a beaver, where you start, and I poked his tummy, and like all this castor came out, and I was like, "Oh, neat! It smells like the earth." Except the earth smells like beaver pee, apparently. Let me explain. That's a weird statement.
vanilla ice cream.
When I was growing up, I would smell that smell near riverbanks and lakes and all that, and I would think that's just what wet dirt smelled like. Nope, it turns out it's just beavers looking for love or saying stay the fuck out my area. Anyway, so we get in the middle of that, and we're about to take the skin off, and Sam's worried about the dirt, and I'm like, let's just leave the skin on, put it in a trash bag, throw it in the back of the Prado, take it home, hang it up, let it hang overnight, and I'll skin it tomorrow. And so that's what we did. I will say this, Dave, one single shot. It's
Oh, I
not a
saw it.
it's not a sprinting antelope. It went right down.
Or prairie dog or coyote.
Listen, when you're shooting at prairie dogs from 500 yards away with Barnall 223, give a man a break when he misses.
Oh man, I will say, I did pull up to the spot that Dave dropped a pin for, where there was a prairie dog town, and I pulled up, and 25 yards away, there's prairie dogs everywhere,
Yup.
Yeah.
not doing nothing, and not giving half a rip that I'm there. I'm like, man,
Sort your shit out and we can get this done. Like they're
Man.
down there waiting.
And it's a different spot than what I took you to.
Tutu?
There's from
Mhm.
what I've seen, there's the one spot that we've been to multiple times where we almost shot the coyote, but you missed.
That was Vince's backup spot.
Okay. There is several spots right off the highway on the grasslands there that have popped up just
is
outside
sketch.
of town.
Yeah. I
Which
mean,
is
you will
sketch.
get called in.
actually, I turned off the highway, and right there on the corner with the highway,
Mhm.
there's a prairie dog town and just dogs running everywhere. It was like, ugh. I've got a suppressed 22 with subsonics that it's just like begging to pop a prairie dog.
No, sometime this summer we'll have to set up a
Yeah.
prairie dog shoot. We'll tie him Brandon over.
So
Sean, if he wants to, I guess.
Actually, this summer might be taken up a little bit because I'm already taking a week off so that I can go to GunCon.
GunCon.
Fuckers.
By the way, listeners, GunCon at the end of June. It's going to be had in Cleveland.
Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland rocks. Hello, I love Ohio. I don't know how it goes.
I
I
love
keep getting it mixed up
Hawaii.
with that 70s show.
I'm going to shoot myself.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, GunCon's going to be in Cleveland, Ohio at the end of June. We will be there. Dave will not, but Sam, Vince, and I will be at GunCon. If you want to go, you will meet us there. If you want to, don't be creepy. Just
I
be
do.
cool if you're going to meet
The
us.
public date is June 28th at the Something Twist Drill Center in Cleveland, Ohio. What is it guncon.net or .com?
GunCon.net. You can get all the info.
GunCon.net.
GunCon.net. Buy your tickets.
I do believe tickets just went up for sale. So
Just
I
went
think
up
you
for
can
sale.
just buy them now.
Like
If
today.
you get a picture of you caressing Mike's left shirt pocket, I will send you a sticker.
I won't be
And-
wearing any shirts
If
with
you-
pockets,
Exactly.
so
If you
And
come
do
up,
not forget.
if you come up to me and introduce yourself, I will run away.
yeah,
do not forget.
don't be
Also-
human, but don't be weird.
I have a
We
rape
have-
muscle with me at all times.
The Jeremy measuring contest.
Oh yes, the 2025 Measure Jarambi contest. We do not
Yep.
believe he's actually 6'7". You must verify it with pictures.
If
And
you
he
don't know
will-
who Jarambe is, it's Jeremy from the Like Shooting Show, also on the Firearms Radio Network. He's
Just
hard to
look
miss.
for the
He'll be
tall
the guy. He will be the guy there who looks like he just got done changing his oil in the parking lot.
I'm also going to be doing a Jarambe bingo card, and it's going to be what is Jarambe wearing today, except it's all just going to be oil stained denim.
Oil stained denim, sweat
Oil
stained
stained.
armpit T-shirt, boots that have a hole in them. Just
Look at that, I got
any
bingo
boot that
from
has a
one-
hole in it, but he's still wearing it.
Look at that. I got bingo from a sock. Bingo.
Not gonna lie, when I was going to Kansas, I was putting on a pair of pants, and I looked down and I was like, maybe I'll switch these pants. oil everywhere.
Dude, I drove up there and I was like, I might spend a couple days up here. I had no idea. I thought I might drive back Monday. And I just had one pair of pants and I'm dragging that coyote up out of there. Like, dang, I need to not get blood all over these pants because these are the only pants I have. And of course, this coyote looks like Swiss cheese, and it's kind of difficult because, of course, like you got a coyote by the scruff of the neck, and it's not a small coyote either. Like, it's a pretty decent sized one. It's like,
Yeah.
actually, I think most of my pants have some kind of blood stain on them.
We'll post a picture on Reddit.
There should be plenty of stuff.
We've got some Instagram material for the next few days for sure.
I'll put that on Instagram too. I don't care. We're
Fuck
already
yeah.
throttled. Who cares?
We're still growing despite their throttles.
Yeah.
So
sort of.
I skinned the beaver out today, and before I did, I was like, I want to know. So I went
How
upstairs,
this-
got my bathroom scale, put it on the patio, and weighed myself and weighed the beaver. And without saying how much I weigh, the beaver weighs about 29 pounds. Or
Yeah,
weight.
well, you did take all its guts out first.
Right, which few pounds of guts I'd say is 33, 34 pound beaver.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, dry.
Just a very respectable beaver.
It is. Yeah, he was a very respectable beaver. He wasn't as big as the first one Sam shot that was just a giant monster, but he's a decent size.
My stupid computer just did some dumbass jingle that'll probably pop up in the.
It did. We heard it.
Oh, we
You
heard it.
God.
Yeah.
It sounded like a Japanese toilet accepting your offering.
Dusky said, I've walked around with blood on me from hunting in places I shouldn't have been, and it's weird that people don't seem to notice.
Dude, people don't see anything.
It reminds me of that
Or
episode
weird.
of The
Yeah.
Office where it's like Halloween and Creed wanders in with blood all over him, and he's like, "It's Halloween, good."
Oh, that's a nice fake blood getup you've got all over you. Fake.
Like, fake? Yeah. If you haven't watched The Office, go do it. Anyway, continue.
Got the beaver all butchered up. I've got one rear leg each in packages, and they're not very airtight by any means. So I'm gonna have to eat it quickly before it freezer burns. But first on the docket is going to be pot roast. I'm gonna make
Use
beaver
you
pot roast
A
with
rear
it.
leg for that.
What's that?
Use you a rear leg for that.
That is the plan.
Okay.
Because those things, the way that beavers are
And
built,
maybe
they're-
throw a front leg in too.
their legs have their rear legs have a lot of weird meat attached to the like. If you cut an ungulate's rear leg off, you've got basically the hip bone and then the rump muscle, the glutes, I believe, and that's about it. With the beaver leg, it's got like another muscle over the rump, the glutes that attaches
An
it
extra
to
ass
the,
muscle.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
They got a big ass.
Yeah, they really do.
Like a double ass.
Yeah.
I can
It's-
use
it's
none of
Because
What?
their
these
ass
for a
goes
show
up and
title.
down.
Human women get silicone implants to emulate beaver ass.
Hmm. This is
Beaver,
facts.
BBL. Okay, got it.
Oh, did you did you have anything on the tail meat on that one? Not the flappy tail, but like the muscle group in the vertebrae going down, where it transitions from like tailbone to
neck.
tail, the back neck. Yeah.
Did I take muscle? I mean, I took it off with the back strap. So it's
Okay.
part
'Cause
of
you
the
might be able
back
to you might be able to throw that in a pot roast too and get some meat off of it, but
strap. I didn't take the bones. I just cut the meat off the top of the tail. like
okay,
the
well that
back
works
strap
for you
part.
then. There's
I'm
not a
Next
talking-
one.
there's not a ton of muscle. I mean, there is muscle in there. It's buried a lot amongst a lot of like waxy fat, and it's just little like it's not like a chunk of meat. It's like little bitsies of meat. But
I was talking to my pastor actually does a lot of hunting, and he's got a pond that has beavers in it, and I'm trying to go out there and shoot one. But he was talking about how people will take the tail, like the actual tail, and just throw it on a grill or a smoker and just leave it there for hours and wait for that sucker to cook through, and it's almost like a butter consistency.
I have heard of this many times. I have not done it because springtime beavers are scrawny as all hell back there. And then
Okay,
the
ain't got no junk in that trunk.
no, and then the one that I've killed in springtime didn't have, or in fall when it should have been fatter, didn't have much back there either. Also, that seems
Bah.
very much like a have not eaten meat in 3 months and I'm desperate to eat meat type of thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
it could be. There could be worse things.
I mean, I'm down to try
Coyote liver.
rendered beaver butter.
I'll
Beaver-
probably I'll give it a
Beaver
shot here.
cracklings.
I might give it a shot here with the next one I
Motherfucker.
get.
I was wondering what this beaver lard that I was cutting through actually tastes like. Like
I
if you
spoon
grow
scale
up
my
and part of
beaver.
it.
My experience with the fat is it's not great, but it's also not terrible.
Beaver.
But that's
rinds.
my experience with it. Your mileage may vary.
I want the chili lime beaver rinds.
I want the chili lime beaver rhyme.
I didn't even know you're talking about they do underneath their chin here. They got two big globules of like weird, like wrinkled
Beaver
brain
brisket?
fat.
We're talking about like pork rinds, like the fried pork.
That's
rinds.
what that was, because I was wondering what that was, looking at the carcass and the way that the bullet split his dome apart. It exposed one of those little globules, and I was like, "That's gross and weird." I don't know what it is. Things brains are
Extra-
everywhere.
Just an extra fat shit down here.
It was sweet. Brought home a beaver. Everything smells like castor now. My
Yeah, it off. It's not like skunk.
right.
It's mostly annoying just on the trip home because then it's like you can just smell it in the car. And when you get an hour and 40 minutes to drive home like I do, you get really tired of it eventually.
It's better than having to drive home with a shit bag in the back.
Well, I throw those out for somebody like Dave.
Yeah, thank you. I leave those. Those and
I've got a
pest
story
bottles.
about that, but I'll save that for next week. Sam,
Gross.
did you do anything fun this weekend?
Yeah, me. Or hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa!
Whoa. I'm not
Hold on,
denying
hold
that
on.
because I prefer the
There.
there you
Proper
go.
bottom there.
No.
Thank
no.
you.
Put it
Nope,
like it
nope.
was.
Nope, this stays this way. You two over there, stay over there. We'll be over here.
Oh, wait a minute. No.
Ooh,
Oh, wait,
hey,
wait, wait,
bitch.
wait, 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 wait.
Yeah, look at
For
the
those in the audio, I'm screwing with the pictures so that now it's just a picture of me and nobody is on top of anyone else in inappropriate ways.
No, Sam is on top of everybody according to our screen.
Ooh, yeah. Anyway, I'm
Main
just looking
podcast.
at all I'm doing is seeing. I'm just looking at myself on my end, which is perfect. No, I didn't do anything fun this weekend. I'm not going to talk about that.
Okay.
I was accused of. All I will say is I was variously. I went shooting with some people, and I was variously accused of being Dick Cheney's bodyguard, a game warden, a Fed, possibly Mossad, and I forget what the other one was. I mentioned it earlier. Oh yeah, a doctor who on some kind of shithole mud village who's been told the evac orders: put your helmet on and run.
Man, you don't fit in anywhere.
No, I don't.
I'll see him
It
once
didn't
as
help.
a friend.
It doesn't help that I can shoot pretty well too. So then it just caused extra rumors. So
He is a Fed. Look, he can shoot.
basically,
You ever seen a
You
Fed
did shoot a 500 though.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh yeah, I
Not a
saw
lot of
that
people
picture
do that.
or video, whatever. Not a picture.
oh yeah,
That's a
Not as
spicy
much-
meatball.
that's
Not
the
as much
that's the most
recoil as I thought.
equitable. That's the most equitable exchange I've ever had with a grass. Equitable exchange I've ever had with a brass goblin. Most of the time they just take it and leave. This guy was at least like, "You want to shoot my big gun?" Fuck yeah, I want to shoot that.
Yes, sir.
And then it's one of those things where like you dare not miss in front of this little old man at his 500 Smith & Wesson, because if you do, you're going to look like a total bitch. So I didn't miss. But anyway,
Yeah, it was nice to see that video with the satisfying steel clang instead of a miss.
Yeah, I've never shot anything bigger than a 41 Magnum.
it definitely had some hand sting to it. Like it wasn't as bad as people like it looked like in YouTube videos when they don't hold the things and then they frickin' spin the revolver pointing at their own head with the
And
recoil.
double tap a revolver.
Yeah. It was just like, it came back. It had some definite jump to it. Right in like at the base of your palm where like the back strap of the grip runs, there's a definite like a little punch there, a little sting, but no, it wasn't terrible. And that was a 370 something grain projectile, I think. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Chonk.
All I remember is the 41 mag. The first round went exactly where I aimed, and the rest kind of went everywhere else.
As long as if it was trying to shoot multiple shots out of that, I would agree. The trigger on that Smith & Wesson was freaking feather light, like kind of scary light. The single action, and the freaking sight radius on that thing was 12 inches long. So as long as you really focus on that teeny little bit of trigger pull and don't flinch it, I think it would have been hard to miss at 25 yards.
Yeah, this was a 4-inch Ruger Blackhawk. So
Yeah, that's a bit different. Like I said, this thing had a freaking 12-inch sight radius on it. It was like a Looney Tunes gun.
like Elmer Fudd's EDC.
Like Wile E. Coyote is what I had in mind. Just oversized, ridiculously big.
Yeah,
What's the
something
back?
that Bugs Bunny's finger actually would cause to explode if he plugged it.
So anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, that was a
Same
fun
here.
weekend for everybody. It was kind of cool that you
mean,
two
I
got to
did-
do something.
I did
and
fun shit.
us
I'm just
two.
not talking about it here. So
It's fair.
Sam's Super Secret Squirrel Club over there doing fun stuff.
He
Won't
wishes
talk
it was a
about it.
secret squirrel club.
all right.
Just a bunch of homos.
Hey, I did you this weekend.
Yeah, well, that's just how the fishbowl full of keys ended up.
Did you?
Are you the reason for the hair? Sam?
Well, I mean, I knew I was good. I didn't know I was that good. Alrighty then, Dave.
We
Get
out?
me out of here so I can go to bed.
Okay.
Uh,
Well,
By the way, if the shot the beaver with the Gideon Optics Guardian on the Sig 556 that I love so much, if you want to try the Gideon Optics
Gideon
for
Guardian?
yourself, use
The Gideon
coupon code
anything.
MOIST because you'll get 10% off.
and the
I was-
moistest is the bestest.
Indeed, moistest is bestest code. There may be other codes that give you more money, but their codes aren't moist. Our code's moist.
Very
So-
dry. So dry.
And
Very dry.
Need lotion.
I twere out there doing Camerado things. Also, I got me.
You're
some
doing
dirt
Camerado things at the moment.
currently. Yeah,
ATM.
currently. It's a-
Halfway, like
some
a
shit.
couple hours into our coyote hunt, I was like, "Hey, we need to go back to base camp because it's getting freaking cold." And I grabbed my Camerado puffer jacket,
Mhm.
threw that on.
Hmm. How do you like the puffer jacket?
So it is surprisingly durable in that I have done things with it that I probably shouldn't have, including busting through brush in dense undergrowth in southeast Oklahoma, and also crawling around under my vehicle to do maintenance in the cold and have not torn the sucker yet.
Nice. Very good to hear. So if you want to go do the Camerado thing, you should definitely do that. Camerado.com. Use code Let's Go Hunt. Get you 5% off your order.
Yeah, because he's a bitch and wouldn't use moist.
He said that'll make people go. They won't want to buy if the code's moist. Bullshit.
Oh, how wrong he be.
They'll hate themselves when they type it, but they'll like the savings.
All
They'll
right.
remember it, won't they?
Right? Well, support the sport and take a buddy hunting. If you like that buddy, tell him about our show. If you don't, give him a Red Bull laced with hymns before you go before his
Jesus.
night out with the guys. Hit us up at lghpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and let's go hunt. Oh,
It's got to be Beaver BBL.
Beaver BBL, gnome and negative.
You know, people are always using laxative to get back at other people, like get back at friends that do them wrong. You need to do the laxative and the hymns
Oh,
Oh,
together.